Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Castlevania for its, well, final part. Yeah, Castlevania is actually a fairly short game. It's it's just that it's incredibly fucking hard, which is a bit par for the course for a lot of NES games back in the day. The difference between this and a lot of others, though, is that this is fairly well designed, as opposed to other games, which is a shitload of fuck. I mean, it's probably kind of fitting that Castlevania makes me think of the AVGM, but yeah. When it comes to this level, however, this is the one that, well, very much separates the men from the boys, and even starting with this, it also requires you pretty much to, well, just sort of take on the advice that I pretty much listed beforehand. Yeah, you can get caught up on those stalactites? Yeah, those are the ones on the roof. Yeah, make sure that you keep the, you know, blue potion? No, make sure that you keep the holy water on hand, because you are going to need it, and even though I don't quite... excuse me. Even though you don't quite, need it... Well, actually, you know what? I tell a lie, you do need it during this segment, because, yeah, you're gonna be ambushed by flying birds and fleamen. Now, what you're supposed to be doing, that I haven't quite mastered here, is that you're meant to pretty much use the holy water as a means of intercepting the fleamen, but as they, you know, are being bombarded down beneath you. Otherwise that happens, and if we were playing normal Castlevania, I wouldn't have the holy water, and I pretty much just have to waste my whole stockade of lives so I can go back down, get the holy water, and do the thing again. You're meant to pretty much intercept the fleamen as they're dropping down by using the holy water, and if they do happen to land down, just pretty much dump holy water and run so you can pretty much clear this corridor and take as little damage as possible. But yeah, this is yeah, this is probably the biggest hurdle that you're going to be having throughout Castlevania. This is where I definitely got stuck on the first time playing through the regular game, so, yeah, it's a bullshit. But don't worry, by the time you get here, this can be fairly easy. You can refill your stockade of hearts. And, even though I don't get it here, there is actually a pot roast if you, go inside the building over here, and, well, defeat yet another... What is that meant to be, like a serpent skeleton? Well, actually, no, reptiles... Well, I mean, at the very least, serpents don't have skeletons. They're supported by a series of bladders, I believe. Whatever. The point is that, yeah, defeat this creature over here, and, I believe it's, hit that one right there. Yeah, you'll get a pot roast, but I didn't know where it was at the time, so, I'm stupid. Goddamn motherfucking stupid. But in any case, it was probably for the best that I died around here, because, yeah, this next boss, if you're not playing on, the easier difficulty where you can, you know... potentially deal with them a lot easier, is actually one of the more bullshit fights in the game. We're fighting off against Frankenstein, and before anybody brings it up, oh, it's Frankenstein's monster, not Frankenstein. Okay, here's a little thing to... Listen, let me rap with your soul, brother. Yeah, Frankenstein's monster. Victor von Frankenstein is the creator, yes, that makes sense. But you want to know what he called him? His son. And technically his name is actually Adam Frankenstein. So, yeah, he is his son, and he was also a creation of the good doctor, so what does that make him? Adam Frankenstein. So therefore, it makes perfect sense for him to be called Frankenstein, and if anybody brings that up again, I'm going to bitch slap you and rip your fucking spine out and break your fucking arms with it. But anyway, part of the reason why this boss fight can be a little bit crap is because, yeah, Frankenstein does very little to attack you. It's mainly the invincible flea man that you can't destroy, only really pause, and it will shoot fireballs at you, which can be a massive pain in the arse. And again, for all the reasons that I mentioned beforehand, the fact that you lose your sub-weapons if you die, you know, the flea man, pretty much having a very erratic jump pattern, which makes it a pain in the arse, even with its irregular defeatable enemy variety to take down, it's just... Again, it's just a bit of an irritating boss fight as opposed to something that's hard. I guess I couldn't really think of a feasible way to make Frankenstein an interesting boss fight without more complex game mechanics, but I don't know. I mean, you could have potentially had a more mechanically interesting boss fight where you maybe let it, you know, let it towards galvanized lightning or whatever, or I don't know, maybe tried to burn it alive. I mean, again, I guess that's part of the reason why they could have provided holy water for you to use against it, as, you know, what ends up being the case, but really, I don't know. It's just a bit of a wash, and it's pretty much the choke point of the game, which, as I mentioned beforehand, separates the men from the boys, the women from the girls, all that kind of thing, really, so, yeah. Anyway, we're on to stage 4 this time, well, okay, stage 13, they pretty much dictate stages based on as you progress, which I guess was kind of meant to tie into the whole sort of kitschy, you know, pseudo... well, I mean, I guess pseudo-hammer horror film feel that they were going for, you know, stages intended to be, you know, film studio settings, perhaps? But yeah, we're pretty much at Mission 4 at this stage. And as you can no doubt tell, we are pretty much defeating a bunch of bosses reminiscent of hammer horror films. You know, we defeated the Mummy, we've defeated, well, I mean, again, I don't think the bat's really meant to be anything apart from, you know, obvious vampire reference. Yeah, we defeated Frankenstein. So, really, what do we have left? The Seventh Seal? Ooh, that might be giving the game away. But it's also here where we're introduced to the red variants of the Skelly Willies, red skeletons. They're invincible, and they will rise from their grave. Their bones will rise up, and we have to destroy them. But yeah, all that aside, Stage 4 is probably one of the hardest levels in the game, and even if that, also probably containing one of the hardest boss fights. Fittingly, against Death. So, yeah, I mean, that's not to say that Dracula's gonna be a total pushover, but, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna be best friends with anybody in your life, make sure it's the Grim Reaper. Yeah, we also have these little axe armors. Best way to deal with them is either push them off screen where they will disappear into the ether of Nintendo NES coding, or, yeah, just make sure that you have... the cross actually works rather well here, actually, but, yeah, don't expect it to really be that effective because these enemies are pretty powerful, especially against living things. I did find them slightly a bit more annoying in Super Castlevania, though, which is the remake of this game, actually, that... Well, okay, I mean, they even do it in this game anyway, so, scratch that thought. Yeah, they pretty much launch, they either launch the axes low or they'll launch them high. You be slow and they be fast, because Simon is a bit arthritic in his movement. Yeah, I mean, for a great hero, again, you can't control his jump, which, can also be rather bullshit. I mean, thankfully you don't have to make a lot of leap of faith judgments, but, yeah, when it comes to the knockback, you're pretty much going all the way. So, yeah, it's, you're really gonna watch your 6 with, Mr. Belmont here. Because otherwise, you will be buggered quite easily. So, I don't really have too much else to say, really. I am sort of trying to figure out what these areas are. This looks like a weird mixture between the library and, I guess, a dining hall? I mean, I don't know. I'm not really too sure what sort of movies they were. I'm guessing they're probably basing it on the original Hammer horror movies that they had access to was, you know, inspiration for the game, but, yeah, maybe it's just NES graphics, or maybe they were just sort of designing rooms based purely upon, you know, gameplay merit as opposed to, you know, what would feasibly make sense in terms of a castle setting, but, yeah. I don't know, its artistry is pretty on point, but, it's not really in terms of a contextual castle design. I mean, at least in a sort of like Duke Nukem kind of sense, where they had areas designed to look more like actual places that people could live and work, as opposed to, you know, video game level doing video game things in abstract spaceland with a bit of a design aesthetic going about it. I say words good. But yeah, I mean, apart from the sheer volume of enemies that they throw you about this place, I mean, if you can hold on to your sub-weapons fairly well, then you should be relatively okay, although, again, if you're playing this on the regular Castlevania, yeah, that's, can be quite a challenge. And I suppose I should also say this about Akumajo Dracula, which is the version of the game that I'm playing, for those of you who don't remember. Yeah, if you're playing the normal mode, that's pretty much regular Castlevania as you know and love it. So again, you do get your regular normal mode, so it isn't a complete wash all the way through. And everything is restored if you do play that version, but yes, we finally made it to the final hallway towards our death. Well, no doubt we're going to be finally dying as we... Yeah, this is pretty much probably the most difficult part of the hallway. I mean, again, it's leading towards death, so you're pretty much getting a murdered Belmont sandwich, so... Yeah, I guess Death was Dracula's most trusted lieutenant, so to speak. But yeah, we finally made it to death, and what it was... I probably should have saved the holy water, because, yeah, there is a strategy there is a strategy which you can use to cheese Death by, you know, pretty much just taking him down, by using the holy water and freezing him in place, but, yeah. Time appears to stop for no man, especially those who are, you know, that of incorporeal entropic mass, such as Death himself. And yeah, if you're facing him normally, with his bunch of fucking scythes everywhere, then yes, he can be a bit of a pain in the ass to take down, but otherwise, we have defeated Death. Now everybody shall rise to life. Oh no. But yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote. Yeah, final stage of the game here, actually. we're coming after you, Dracula! Who may be Vlad the Impaler, or possibly a descendant, or just some Romanian general that's just sort of taking his name. That the Bram Stoker novelization never really made explicitly clear. At least to my memory anyway, but... oh well. Anyway, the bats that were the boss in the first level. They are the regular enemies! But yeah, I would recommend that you just keep on running here. Because otherwise you are not gonna have a very good time as you, well, get kind of pipped here. The stopwatch can help immensely, by the way, so yes. Make it inside and save the day. So, now that we're finally into the clock tower, would you believe that this is by far the hardest part of the level? Yeah, I mean, the Dracula boss fight still has its challenges here and there, no problem, but yeah, I mean, apart from one little mistake that I'm gonna make as we get up there, although, yeah, word of warning, the stairs don't count as physical objects unless, of course, you press the up button. Otherwise, that happens, which sucks, but that's not why the level's difficult. The level is difficult because, well, as you can no doubt tell, lots of bottomless pits everywhere. And as we get towards the actual clock tower segment itself, yeah, remember how in the original game there's a fuckload of knockback? Well, wouldn't you know what's gonna kill you and what enemies they decide to put into the game? Here's a hint, it's a lot of flea men, as well as a lot of those little bird things that drop them off. Like, you know, they're dropping off their kids at school. It's going, goodbye, honey, enjoy your day at Flea Man School. So yeah, if I was playing the regular game, Simon would be launched backwards and he would die. And it's also worth noting at this point in the game that, okay, I mean, apart from mistakes like that, because, you know, Simon can't control his jump momentum, yeah, because of the fact that, you know, knockback is a constant issue, and the fact that enemies at this point in the game also deal about 4 points worth of damage, yeah, you are pretty much going to be buggered, my friend. So, yeah, 4 hits, otherwise you're completely screwed. It is worth holding on to the stopwatch for this part of the level, because otherwise, well, let's just say that you're not going to be completing this with your ass intact. And we don't have the stopwatch anymore. Now, all we have is the basic bitch knife, which isn't very good. And again, the fleamen are annoying for, you know, purely the reasons that I stated beforehand. Erratic jump patterns. Come on, jump down. Yeah, Simon also seems to have that similar sort of Mega Man thing where, like, his... again, if you just drop off a ledge, he pretty much just drops like a fucking boulder, where, you know, he descends at a faster rate than what he would if he jumped. But anyway, we're past all the bullshit now, collect a few more hearts, and, yeah, the worst is pretty much over as we finally get to the next part of the stage, the final part. We're gonna save the day from Dracula. And yeah, you actually have a checkpoint here, so if you die at this point, well, yeah, you pretty much start off from here. Even if you get a game over, you can still continue from this very point, so... yeah, that's surprisingly lenient of the developers, but whatever, never look a gift horse in the mouth. But yeah, I mean, if you're playing the regular game, you might want to spend a bit of time grinding hearts here, because otherwise, well, you might run out of, let's just say you're going to be needing it for the second phase of this boss fight, in which, yeah, of course there's a second phase, because Dracula is the Prince of Darkness, and, what the hell does he look like here? It looks like a weird mixture between Count Orlok and what I'm guessing is meant to be Bela Lugosi's Dracula, but I don't know, Dracula's appearance here always kind of seemed a bit odd. I mean, other games usually have him resemble more, you know, closely the character that everybody recognizes, but yeah, it's also quite odd. Anyway, to talk about the boss fight good and proper here in terms of what Dracula actually does. Yeah, as you can no doubt tell, like, he pretty much teleports around the arena, shoots fireballs out of his cloak. You can't hit the cloak itself. The only weak point is, well, the head, in keeping with vampire tradition. Either you behead them, or you stab them with a stake in the heart, but we don't have any stakes at the moment, and nor do we have any garlic, so yeah, we're pretty much just having to make do with tackling Dracula in his final form. Although it's not really his final form, it's just his bog standard form. But yeah, if you're playing the regular version, the same rules still very much apply. You know, he'll pretty much give you 4 hits, and that's pretty much it. 4 hits to take him down. It is mitigated on easy mode where you only lose 2 bits of health, and you do also take down 2 bits of health, so it's very much blow by blow as opposed to, you know, constantly having to jump around. The way in which to sort of bait Dracula out of his attacks is pretty much just to either, you know, either kneel down, then jump over the fireballs as they're in their initial arc pattern, or jump up, have them shoot upwards, and then try and attack the head, but yeah, it's not exactly a guarantee. And not helping matters is also the fact that Dracula can still teleport into you, and pretty much just make life utterly miserable for you when you're trying to jump out of the way. And since I won't really have much of a chance to talk about it, since I do kind of finish with the boss fight, yeah, part of the reason why you need to collect hearts in order to build up your stockade is, you know, purely because of the holy water. Holy water is the only way you're going to be damaging Dracula's secondary boss fight form. Purely because of the fact that, again, the vampire killer doesn't really seem to do shit, which is odd because it's considered a magical weapon by the standards of the Castlevania series, so whatever, I suppose. But yeah, putting all that aside, like, I mean, what Dracula does in the second one, he pretty much jumps around in his giant monster form and shoots out another fireball. And yeah, you pretty much just have to, you know, rely on holy water, which can be a little bit more difficult if you don't have the triple shot, you know, as indicated by the Roman numerals that we have on the HUD over there, but yeah, by the time you knock off Dracula's block, yeah, then he pretty much turns into his monster form. But yeah, we won't really give him a chance to do that because we have enough holy water to, well, melt his monster form. Oh, by the way, Simon, I curse you. Ah! And yeah, that's the end of Dracula. We win the game and kill Dracula, even though he'll come back all the time, so fuck it. Castlevania, Konami milking the money. Even though we haven't had a game since 2014, I think, with Lords of Shadow 2. Ah, well, whatever, we've won the game, and by the way, a fun fact about the original Bram Stoker novel, yeah, Dracula's castle was initially meant to collapse in the original novel drafts, but yeah, that was cut for some reason. But anyway, that was Castlevania, slash Akamajo Dracula, slash Vampire Killer. And yeah, we don't actually get cast credits, we just get parodies of Hammer horror villains. Kind of odd. Christopher B. Ah, well, anyway, that was Castlevania. I hope you enjoyed this fun ramble of a commentary, but yeah, coming up next time is Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, and yeah, it might seem a bit soon for some people, but I don't know, I hope you enjoy Dream Drop Distance. It has its moments of fun, but yeah, that'll pretty much be the next big game we're tackling. The Green Stranger, I have no idea what that's a reference to. Or Andre Morel, or Joan Candies? Is it meant to be a reference to John Candy? And yeah, Simon Belmondo. He's called Belmondo in Japan. How fun. You played the greatest role in this story. Damn right I did. Anyway, catch you later.